What is going on? It is 2022, and I just wanted to share some of my comic goals with you guys, and I'll get to that right after this. So as you heard, I'm just kind of going to go over some of my comic goals that I have for the year 2022. First off, I have this goal pretty much every year. It is kind of the continuous goal that has been the first goal I've really had with comics, and it is to read 1,200 comics this year. I try to say that because it's kind of like using 100 comics in every month, which, while it can seem daunting if you, especially for me, I know in the first few months, I get very ahead. Last year, as you might have seen, I had a son, and in the last 2 months, I only read about 50 comics, but I think I hit 1,500. So it is an obtainable goal. I know that the first year I did, I think I only got to 900, but, you know, it's one of those where I keep trying to get to that, and it's what I try to go to. I know that I won't make it every year, but if I can get to it, it is an awesome goal to read, or to get to, and I get to read a lot of stuff by doing it. I ended up having two goals for 2021 when it came to collecting. The first one was to get Saga #1, which, because of a friend Poser, comic book Poser, his information will be above, he ended up getting one in my possession 2 days before the year end, so that was awesome. The other goal was a continuing goal from 2019, from 2020, to get all the 400s of Batman. So this year, I think I want to either, I'm not really entirely sure, I think right now I have it set to only the 500s. I think I need 32-ish more issues in there. I think I have most of the big keys in there, so it shouldn't be a hard obtainable goal, but I'm thinking I might just push that into 713 and just finish the rest of the run, because I think that I have all the big keys that are kind of in between there. There might be, you know, a minor key here and there that I still need, but it's either, let's just say, let's get all of the run from, you know, 500 and up of Batman Volume 1. So to continue down kind of the collecting rabbit hole of the hobby, I kind of had a few keys that I really wanted to chase this year. So one of the big things was to kind of go after a lot of the champions. So I already have the first Riri, which she is kind of in that pseudo sub secondary champion, along with the Patriot and Falcon, and there was one other who first appearance wasn't champions who I already have. So I might try and go for those first appearances also this year. But I really want to focus on the main lineup. I know that Cyclops was one of the original members. The first Cyclops is unattainable for me. And, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it was like Cyclops as a kid from the future that was in the champions. So it's not as much the Cyclops that, you know, we read or you would read in that first appearance. So I'm not really going to go for that one. But to start off, it's Miles. With his book is, if I can find an Ultimate Fallout Raw for the right price, I might be able to move on that. I know that where it has come CGC wise, it is unobtainable unless I can find that one person that has a 3.0 that's going to maybe sell it to me for dirt cheap. Maybe I'll grab that, because, you know, while grades are important, for me, grades aren't the end all be all. You know, just having that comic in my possession is good. I do have the facsimile, so I know that is something that you can get. If I can't find a first print of Ultimate Fallout 4 raw for a good price, I might look for a nice slabbed version of the second print. I do think I like the, you know, the swipe of the main cover where you actually see Miles' face over the one where he's pulling the Spider-Man mask over his face with the white background, but I don't really know. It kind of depends on what I think, and I think the white background is a lot cheaper. I could be wrong. The next one is the first Kamala Khan. She first appeared in the all-new Marvel .1 #1, so I would like to get a, you know, a graded version of this. I would probably take anything over a 9. It kind of depends on what the price is, the way that she's been moving, and the way that, you know, this Disney Plus show is coming for her. I think it's becoming a bigger book. With her too, I might even consider trying to find that first Miss Marvel #1 if I can get that at a good price. 2, that's going to be a little bit cheaper than the first appearance for the first solo series. The next is Sam Nova, or Sam Alexander Nova. You can find him first in the, Marvel .1 #1, not to be confused with all new .1 #1. But that's his first appearance. This is probably the cheapest of all of them, minus maybe the next one that I'm going to talk about. But this one I'll probably either try and find a nice copy raw. This was a weird one where I've seen a lot of people have, there was like a, I think there was a swipe on the cover or something like that. I'm not really sure, but I don't see a lot of like raw copies in great condition. I don't know if maybe, I don't know much. I haven't looked into these, but maybe there's something with that book on why that happened. The next one is Viv Vision. Her first appearance is in The Vision #1 from Tom King. That is another one that's probably pretty easy. I'll probably try and find a very nice raw copy of that and submit it for grading myself. And then, yeah, the other one is Amadeus Cho. His first appearance is in Amazing Fantasies #15. I know what you're thinking. Not that one. They made a reprint later on. This one is also probably the most expensive, excluding that Ultimate Fallout 4. Amadeus Cho is not... He's probably my least favorite character of the Champions, so, like, all things considered, it's probably the one that I would be the least desired to get, and it's, you know, the second most expensive of them, so I might even pass on this one. I do currently already have a Hulk 100, which is his second appearance, which for me right now, that is good enough. You know, if I find that book out in the wild, or I have a friend, or I find somebody that I can make a deal with on that book, that would be something I'd be interested. But that, I would say, is the lowest of the priorities for me on the Champions. So the second part of the collecting goals that I have is going to be more Batman focused. As I talked about my runs of Batman, you know, and how that's part of my collecting goal. The next thing is to get some of these Batman villain keys or Batman keys. I have a decent amount. I do, you know, I don't have obviously the first Dick Grayson as Robin, but I have all the other first appearances of the Robins. You know, I have some other books, but the ones that I'm going to focus on finding this year is a First Poison Ivy, which is Batman 181. With this book, I would hope, I'm looking to find this in a raw, preferably cheaper if I can find it at a lower price, and grade it myself. You know, it's going to be one of those books where, you know, I'm not super picky on some of these Bat books for grades. For me, because I just want to fill out this run. This is a bigger key, and Poison Ivy is one of my favorite Batman villains, so it would be a nice key to just be able to get and have in the collection, and, you know, the grade of it isn't going to be a huge deal for me. The next one is Vengeance of Bane #1, which is the first appearance of Bane. Because this is a newer key and it's more modern, I think that I can find a higher grade on this one for a fairly reasonable price. I know that there is a second and a third print, so if I find those at cheap prices too, I might just kind of accumulate them and see if I can take those and somehow, you know, maybe upgrade later on or something like that. So, you know, I'm one of those people where if I can get the opportunity to find some of these second or third prints in some of these books, I might take that just to be able to get it. I know that some of it's going to be a little bit more unobtainable and it's going to be harder to find them in nicer grades, but with Vengeance of Bane, it is a fairly new book, so it shouldn't be as hard to find as some of these other ones. And the final one is going to be I've got most of the major Mr. Miracle keys, but the one that I do not have is the first Big Barda. So Mr. Miracle 4 is her first appearance. If I can find a pretty decent copy of that, that's a book that I think would be fun to add. My shop had acquired a collection, and I found some lower graded versions, or not, they're not graded, but lower grade versions of a lot of the big keys in that set. They did not have this one, or they did, and maybe it was just so expensive that I didn't get it, and then when I went back to pull the trigger on it, somebody else had gotten it, so I couldn't get it. But yeah, this is, you know, one of those where Big Barda, Mr. Miracle, I love both those characters, so this would be one that I would like to add to the collection if given the opportunity to this year. And the final one is, so one of my daughter's favorite characters is Ghost Spider-Gwen. I know for sure I'm going to go for a Spider-Gwen #1. That book I think is still pretty, it's starting to become a book that people are hyping and people are talking about. Now the Edge of Spider-Verse #2 is out of the question, but if I can find an Edge of Spider-Verse, especially maybe second, third, fourth, fifth printing of that, I would definitely take the opportunity to grab that book if it comes available, and it's going to be one of those books that I look for because it is a character that she's really gravitated to, and if I can have that in my collection, I think it would be a cool thing to talk about later on, or show her, or just, you know, have that she can, you know, maybe enjoy with me too. So that's kind of it for the big books that I'm going to go for. I think there's a lot of others. I actually made a video with some of the, you know, cheaper keys that I've been looking for. I'll list those up here. If you didn't see, I also had an unboxing video where War Machine Punisher or Jonathan had sent me the Cole variant of one of the books that I had in that list, so I'll probably have that video up here too that you can check out too. But some of the other stuff is just kind of what I want to do with some of these videos and with the channel. So as you kind of have seen in some of my recent videos, I've been working a little bit on some of the intros. I like doing that stuff. I think that, you know, finding a way to help improve the channel is always something good. So if you guys have any feedback on some of the stuff that I do, feel free to leave me a comment. Or, you know, if you don't want to leave something negative on a comment, feel free to DM me on Instagram. All my information is down below, so you can find me. I want to keep doing that stuff. I know that Brian LCS had mentioned in his goals video that he wanted to improve the space that he recorded in. As you guys have known and kind of can see, I'm in a basement. I need to kind of maybe improve the, you know, I've got some nice lights and I've got some stuff, but maybe improve on some of my equipment so that it sounds better in here, and there I can make better videos with the space that I have. Maybe look at getting stuff, you know, set up a little bit differently. So I'm going to try and find ways to improve how I record and where I record, just to kind of, you know, make some of this stuff more enjoyable and, you know, present better to the viewer, which is you. So thank you for coming. If you've seen, I ended last year with a bourbon advent calendar, which was pretty funny. My sister-in-law ended up getting me one that turned out to be a scam, and I opened every day. I've been trying, or I want to try and focus on doing some more monthly content where I release small shorts where I can put them on IG, maybe TikTok, and even here on YouTube, and just kind of do monthly things. So if you guys have any ideas for that, I know that I had mentioned talking about some of my trades. Later on, I'll probably highlight some books in my collection, and then, you know, I even talked about some of the vinyl records that I had, maybe showcase those. But if you guys have other recommendations on stuff, I'm currently doing a bourbon tasting one, which has been a lot of fun if you're interested in bourbon. But that's kind of been it. You know, I plan to continue editing and learn new editing skills. I know there's a lot of people on YouTube, and a lot of them do a lot of really good editing jobs, and, you know, I just want to help improve and, you know, maybe to help other people. So if you guys have questions or anything that I can maybe help you with, or you see something you like, please tell me, because I know there's certain people I reach out to and I ask them advice. So if there's anything you think I can help you with, let me know. And once again, as always, guys, I'm Cole. Thank you so much for stopping by, and peace.